Hi guys, Ian here, aka Huru Mantra. Welcome to my channel and to another video. And it's been a couple of weeks since I made my last video. Busy time of year and all that. So whether you celebrate Christmas or whether you celebrate it as a holiday or whatever, hope you've had a good time, and that 2017 is going to be a really good one for you guys. Yeah, well, today I wanted to talk about the soul and just some reflecting on what it is and what being soul beings gives us and how it shapes us. And these are things I've been thinking about quite a lot over the past few days, and when I think about things, that's when I tend to make videos. So yeah, so to start off, let's think about what is the difference between me and you and this. Now this is a quartz crystal ball, and I'm not using it because it is a crystal ball. I'm using it because it is, I could just as easily be using a lump of lead or a house brick. It's just an item for comparison. So what are some differences between us and this? Well, we are both made out of chemical compounds found on the periodic table, and we both have a physical existence. Therefore, this, I would guess, would last for as long as the earth would last, whereas I won't, whereas you won't. There's a degree of permanence about this that we don't have in our physical bodies. This stays in one place, we move. This, as far as we know, is not subject to desire, to sensation, to appetites, to pain, to pleasure, as far as we know, as far as our science is able to tell us today, whereas we are subject to all of those things. This, the state of this crystal ball will pretty much remain the same for as long as it exists, whereas the state within us, of us, will change as we age, and at some point something will happen that our bodies will cease to exist. They will wear out, or they will be damaged to an extent that they can no longer support life, and we will be said at that point to die. And from the point that life leaves this body will start to break down into its constituent parts and will eventually revert to cosmic dust, for want of a better word. And all that will happen while this remains unchanged. So there is a difference, isn't there, between what this is and what we are. There is something that is present within us which will at some point depart, life, if you like, and this which is now as it ever will be for as long as the earth continues. So I'm going to put it down now, okay? So this thing then that we call life, what is it? Scientists, well, tell us it's a a massive electrochemical activity, and that all that we are in terms of our personality, in terms of our beingness, if you like, is just a coincidence of that electrochemical engine which continues within us for a period of time while we live and then disappears when we die. That our consciousness is a coincidence, a byproduct of that. Now, I don't believe that. I think that is such a fantastical thing to believe that it is unbelievable to me. It makes no sense whatsoever. And to me, that we are spiritual beings having an experience of physical existence is far more logical, is far more statistically likely to be right than that everything that we are is an accidental byproduct of life that just evolved out of the mud. To me, that makes no sense at all. There's something within me that utterly rejects that as being possible, as being feasible. So, the great poet Rumi once wrote, if I can remember this, consciousness sleeps in minerals, dreams in plants, awakens in animals, and becomes self-aware in human beings. I think that's really beautiful, and I think there's much wisdom in there, because there is something, isn't there, about the living being that is different from the inanimate crystal. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever actually seen someone or been with them when they die or shortly after they die, but if you have, then you'll know that if it is somebody that you've known very well, or even if it isn't, there will be something about them whilst they are alive, even if they are not conscious, that the minute they die will be gone. And you look at them and you will know that something has departed. Life has left the body, and with that life, something else has gone. And what you have left is the vessel, if you like, the vessel that life occupied whilst it was here on earth. So we're already beginning to see that there is a mysterious something, isn't there, that is present in us and present in animals. I won't go down that track because that'll take me in all sorts of rabbit holes. But so let's just stick with us at the minute, the human soul, which is what we're looking at. So when we're alive in the world, we are part of the physical world through our bodies. We share the physical world in the same way that this crystal shares the physical world. We are subject to the same physical forces as this crystal is, except that in some ways this crystal is more resistant to those forces than we are, and things that would damage us beyond repair would not damage this. You can't drown this, you can't suffocate it, for example. Do you see what I'm saying? That we are in the same physical world, subject to the same physical laws, but the impact of those laws on our physical bodies are different to they are on this physical body. So we are in the physical material world and subject to its laws, and even those things that we experience through being in the physical world. So in a sense, our senses are part of the physical world. Our sense of sight is through physical eyes, which interprets light bouncing off the surface of things, etc. Our hearing comes from, the interpretation of vibrations in the air and such. So our senses come to us through physical means, the outer world. So what happens then when we perceive those things, when we see things with, through our eyes and our minds, and hear things? They are processed, aren't they, in our inner world? But again, through our brain. Take away your brain and you won't experience anything of the physical world. So even that which we sometimes consider to be inner is actually only available to us through the outer. So your body, our bodies, our senses, our brain is part of the outer world. But what perceives, what interprets, what extracts from life in the physical world is something inside. Something in the inner world which utilizes the mechanisms and the equipment of the outer world. Equipment, including our brain. So now we're moving on to the difference between our physical selves, that part of us which exists in the physical world, and that inner part which utilizes the bodies that we have, the brain that we have. So we move from the outer world to the inner world. And are we saying that mind, sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. Are we saying the mind is of the outer world or the inner world? Well, I would say it's still of the outer world, because the mind is associated with the brain. The brain is outer world. But that part of us which contemplates, which thinks about our experience, which stores up our experience, which reflects on questions like, what am I? What is the purpose of my being here? Those deep questions of existence. What is love? What is the purpose of our species? Is there a God? Is there a divine being? What is the destiny of our species? That contemplative stuff is not mind, I don't believe. I believe this is soul experience. This is the part of our being which interfaces with our physical apparatus. That it is this part of us which is the individuality which will eventually merge. It's not the right word, merge, but it is this part of us, the soul experience, which grows and develops and evolves, and which will eventually form us at the end of our evolution as individuated, fully perfected beings, spiritual beings. It's quite difficult, when I've thought about this, it's taken me a long time to try and to make some sort of sense out of it. And I'm not saying that I have it entirely now, but to see the difference between mind and soul, that mind is the cognitive apparatus which processes the experience of living in our physical world. And soul experience is that transcendent part of us which reflects on the experiences of life, which brings back into our, I don't even know what the word is, but which considers the deeper things of life, which compares and contrasts, which extracts and learns from our experiencing. Not academically, I don't mean academic learning, but that part of us which becomes more than we were yesterday and the day before, that part of us which extracts from, you know, the painful experiences of life, something meaningful and something which endures. And the soul is that part of us which reflects on itself, which deliberates on its own nature. Anyway, I hope that's made some sort of a kind of sense, and I'm not sure whether you agree or disagree, but if you've got any comments, I'd be really interested in hearing them. And just, I'm not going to go into this, but I'm just looking at my two dogs asleep on the bed now, and I'm thinking, you know, there are some people that say animals have no soul, and when they die, that's it, they end. Now, anybody that is an animal lover, that's had a beloved animal companion, will know that they demonstrate so many qualities that are similar to human beings. They demonstrate intelligence, they demonstrate emotion. But you know what I don't see them demonstrating is that transcendent quality of thought that reflects on its own nature and its own beingness. Now, I could be wrong, because obviously I can't speak to my dogs, and I can't say, do you ever think, you know, what you are and what is the purpose of your existence? I might be surprised, but I don't think they do. I think that they are a much simpler life form. They're a much simpler being than we are, and that they don't experience this transcendent element that we do. Anyway, I'm going to stop there, otherwise this could go on and on and on. Anyway guys, thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.